We all have kids. We all have parents. We all have friends. We all have loved ones. And we don't like to think that senseless things can happen to them. We have this need to believe that when something bad like this happens, it happens because there's somebody to blame. It makes us feel better. And you may be feeling that. You may be feeling that if only this is the fault of Noreen, what name did that Mr. Stoddard call Noreen, that we're going to call names, Jeff Conley, that we're going to call names. If it's their fault, if it's somebody's fault in Dallas or Maryland or San Francisco, that means it's not senseless. And that means we don't live in a world where bad things just happen. Because that's reality. And you may think that a verdict for the defendants helps solidify that in your mind, that we don't live in that type of world, and you need someone to blame, so let's blame them. That doesn't make any sense. This shooting didn't make any sense. And that verdict isn't going to change the reality outside of this courtroom, which is we are all going to walk into a world where senseless crime that doesn't make sense is a reality. Because crime doesn't care about your zip code. Evil people do evil things, no matter what street you live on. And bad people make bad decisions, no matter how much money you make, what neighborhood you're from. It is the reality of this world. These people were good people. They're not perfect. They are not perfect. His property wasn't perfect. His property had issues. But they are not to blame for a drive-by shooting. That's not fair. That's not justice.
In your opinion, Dr. Nish, did Mr. Hill suffer the type of injury, as Dr. Eisenstadt said, this C2 contusion that resulted in his death?
No, sir. It doesn't fit with the other pieces of the anatomical findings, including the bruise on the back of his skull and some bleeding in the muscles up in this area, which fits more with an impact to that part of the head, which could have occurred inside the vehicle during the latter parts of this roll.
John, this is the exact testimony. Court ordered before trial. This witness stood not off. He's talking about the cause of death. He's disputing Dr. Eisenstadt's conclusions about cause of death.
We were all right. We're going to stop for the morning here, y'all. It's about 11.
We know why they concealed the recall, because this is Exhibit 8B. It's in evidence in that notebook. February 20th, they say, we want to avoid the spring season, March to May, which of course includes April, when dealers are extremely busy to start the field action. There is a concern it could have a negative impact on retail sales if they're too busy with the field action in the spring. That's why they concealed this recall. They didn't want their dealers to be too busy. Now, if they had given notice when they were supposed to in April, when they ordered parts, instead of waiting for sales to cool off, we would not be here. Y'all would not have spent the last 3 weeks of your life with us. AJ would have done the exact same thing he did the first time he got a safety recall notice from Suzuki. He would have parked his bike until he trailered it over to Freewheeling Motorsports on Fairburn Road and had the recall done. But they did not. They chose. And as Mr. Breen explained to AJ, you remember this, I had AJ stand up. Mr. Breen reeled off all the parts that AJ would have had they announced the recall. He would have had a new front brake master cylinder, new pistons, new rubber seals, new spring, new hoses, and brand spanking new brake fluid. He would have had all of that by June or July. He would not have had this crash.
Because the evidence is clear that the cause of this accident is the pilot, And if you think the height of the pole is irrelevant, Georgia Department of Transportation built it, they didn't follow the law, they didn't follow their procedures, they didn't do what they told us they were going to do. FAA, Georgia Department of Transportation, the airport, their engineers all knew about it for 24 years. They didn't do anything about it. They permitted it to continue there. It's still there. That shows you how important the height of the easement is, right? It's still there. So if you reach that conclusion right off the bat, which is easy to reach, that it can't be the legal cause, because this plane never got that high, and even if it wasn't built at all, he was going right into 47. Right into 47. Because this man is flying this plane in Colonel Joseph told you that in 29,000 hours of flight time, in military conditions, in this conditions, he taught the Blue Angels how to fly. You know what that is. He said, I've never in my career seen as many errors committed by a pilot. And Mr. Trammell is an experienced pilot. Nobody doubts that. So there are only two conclusions you can reach. He was either doing all this intentionally, which I don't believe. He was out of it. He'd been up, had slept 5 hours and 38 hours on the phone constantly at the Nashville airport. This is his home base, his car's there. He wants to go home. But he's got 5 human beings in the back of that plane, for which he shows no remorse. And he violated every rule, every training, everything in the checklist. And he said, I was just trying to fly over those poles because I knew they were there. I read it to you. Oops! I forgot to reconfigure the plane. I can't fly. I shouldn't fly because the dumps are up, the wheels are down, the panels are out, and he never even realized it. That's the cause of this accident. That's the person who should be here. That's the cause of this accident. And you don't need to get to any of this other stuff if you just agree that the cause of this accident, the legal cause of this accident, isn't us.
It's because MARTA took away the safety net of the driver. If you're in a boat and you're supposed to have a life preserver and you're playing around, you're negligent, and you fall out of the boat and drown, and the person says, well, we didn't have life preservers, but it's their fault because their hands were too full and they fell out of the boat. No, it's not. That's why you fell out of the boat, but that's not why you drowned. You drowned because the life preserver wasn't there. You're on a building, and you fall off the building because they don't have a safety harness. They say, well, wait a minute, you misstepped. You misstepped. That's why you fell. Yeah, but that's not why you went on under the ground, because there was no safety harness. Or how about not having a seatbelt, taking away the safety nets, and take away these things. You say, well, the person's not wearing a safety belt, he rear-ends another car, shoots out of the vehicle and dies. They say, well, wait a minute, it's his fault, he rear-ended the car. No, it wasn't. Because there was no safety belt there, there was no seat belt there. That's what these things are there for. The driver's there because everybody is going to have a situation where they stumble. Everybody's falling downstairs. This population, it happens all the time because of their vulnerable population. And even worse, if they do fall, the injury will be catastrophic. And that's why you got to have the person out of the seat. Doug Cross, the only expert that testified, said one thing. If that driver had been up, this doesn't happen. If that driver had been up, this doesn't happen. Because the driver's up, he catches her, or he stops her before when he sees that she's struggling. He says, whoa, 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 wait a minute, stop, stop. And it never happens if the person is up out of the seat. If MARTA had given the driver the tools and she knew what she was supposed to do, it never happens. That's the proximate cause. Sure, Ms. Johnson was negligent. She had her hands full. But it's not the proximate cause of why she hit her head on the concrete. She hit her head on the concrete because of this, and because the way this bus was designed, the pole she's holding on to is not going to stop her. It's not going to help her. It's not going to hold her up when she loses her balance like a handrail did. It's going to swing her out the door. That's why she hit her head on the concrete.